Today, let's try and see if we can feed Midjourney with the UI element we created in the previous video and see if it can come up with the UI kit, a whole kit, colors, buttons, styles, pop-ups, tooltips. I'm eager to try it myself and see if this can save me some time. So let's begin. First thing that we need to do is save this image as a PNG. I already did it. And what we need to do now is feed the image to the machine, clicking and dragging it into Midjourney's feed. You've uploaded an image to Midjourney. Now the machine has this information. Okay, now let's try to make a UI kit out of this button. So let's hit Imagine, prompt, click and drag the image into the text box and it will paste the URL of the image. And now let's say game UI kit with colorful buttons, tooltips, pop-ups, aspect ratio of 3:2. Let's hit enter and see what it does. From a glance, it doesn't look so bad. This one looks pretty similar, as well as this one. It looks very nice. I mean, as a standalone UI element, this would be amazing. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get a UI kit. And you know what? Let's ask Midjourney to have a UI kit. So game UI kit spreadsheet. And this is what it did. It's a very cool UI kit elements without too much detail, but as it seems it still can have some kind of potential elements and information. Let's try again with our image. So imagine prompt, let's drag this here. But this time let's write the prompt before the URL and see if it understands the command better. Okay, so if I had to rate this second iteration and the first one, definitely the second one suits better. First of all, it has most of the elements of the UI button that we fed it, thick golden frame and a glowing green elements, especially this here. If we look at this side by side, this thing here can definitely be part of the UI kit, especially this one. They look very, very similar. This frame here looks great in terms of a potential suit for pop-up or tooltip. It's very nice. I'm impressed, to be honest. Let's try and be more specific and actually ask for a tooltip. Holy, this looks amazing. And in comparison to the button, look at this, especially these two, they look like they are exactly from the same environment. This easily can be a button for this pop-up. Doesn't matter where, I can imagine this button sit perfectly in whatever scenario we put it. So now let's try to make something with tooltips. Okay, so it seems that Midjourney can't really distinguish between pop-up and a tooltip and the difference between them because these are pop-ups. But it had another round of interpretation of the button elements. Again, it did amazing job, right? Everything has these green tints, golden frames, shiny elements. Definitely something we can take as a base for building a whole UI kit just from these few iterations. It's crazy, okay? Now let's try to make buttons, just bunch of buttons based on the UI element that we did. Okay, now I must say I'm not impressed at all with the buttons that it generated. This other stuff, they just crap. It makes me think Midjourney doesn't understand what UI buttons actually mean. I mean, it must think of them as buttons of shirt or something because they really look like shirt buttons. So let's try write it differently. Imagine prompt game UI call to action elements variant of colors and shapes based on with aspect ratio of 3:2. Much better. Look at this. First of all, we have a variation of shapes, colors, forms, layouts, variations of almost everything. Yes, it's not glossy and it lacks these glowing elements, but as a base for ideation process, it's great. I mean, the circle buttons can easily be navigational buttons. These buttons here, representation of a confirmation. And of course, it also gave us some kind of texts, and here as well, this fainted grayish text representation of a possible scale for the fonts that we can use in our game or application. And it's really great. The prompt call to action is actually perceived better than just buttons by Midjourney. So let's try and do another pass on this and generate something even better. So okay, I wouldn't say this is the best UI kit I saw in my life, but it's definitely very vibrant, very colorful, with bunch of elements, a lot of things to take as reference and refine them. This here even made this nice arrow. Now let's try to give it some freedom and say, imagine game UI background based on, and let's have this button as a reference with aspect ratio of 3:2. Don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel in case you still haven't. There's a bunch of interesting content and upcoming content as well. Very nice try Midjourney. Again, pop-up elements, button source, or a variation of it at least, some kind of navigational indications. Great stuff. I mean, it really took it and it broke it apart and understood what elements it consists of and tried to replicate it in a bunch of different ways. And I must say, this is a win. An idea came to mind to try some other prompts. Game UI graphic elements with call to action buttons on a game background. You know what, let's even make it more specific. A game for children with fantasy theme based on our button with aspect ratio of 3:2. Okay, I must say this so far is the best variation that I've got from Midjourney in terms of buttons, shapes, interpretations of the source image. It has everything that I would need for initial design pass. And now let's try the same prompt but with reversed aspect ratio, so 2:3. Really nice try Midjourney. I mean, even from UI perspective, it looks even better than the previous iteration, but what it did, it also cut those images. So let's try to add the word vertical to our prompt. So maybe because I'm basing the image of a horizontal reference, it actually cannot do the vertical approach, but let's give it a try. This is an absolute success from how I see it. I mean, first of all, we need to add the word vertical if we want to have a vertical app design. And also look at this. I mean, it did everything that I asked for. It has a lot more buttons than what we had previously. Secondary, primary, titles, backgrounds, the frame of the pop-ups. I mean, this can easily be represented as a pop-up, who is just some kind of hint to the frame to hold the scene together. Amazing. Okay, so what we have learned today, if it's a vertical app, then do yourself a favor and write vertical game UI, whatever you want to add next. The second thing that we learned is that you definitely can base your UI on something. In a working environment, in the day-to-day, it is absolutely a must-have. I mean, in terms of minutes, you will be able to make yourself a UI kit base at least, and then design on it. And it really takes you so little time. It's amazing. If this is the first video you see on the channel, do yourself a favor, check the rest of the videos as well. Okay, enough. Bye-bye. Till the next time.